Hello guys, this is my tutorial how to make your own war loop. Okay, how you normally cast the spells? You socket it and you cast it. As you can see, it's pretty slow, so you need cast speed by getting some cast speed. As you can see, we cast it more faster, so more DPS. But with this cast when damage taken, there is a cooldown time of 0.25 seconds, so theoretically we can cast it 4 times in a second. So when I put ball lightning with a cast when damage taken, as you can see, we cannot cast it. We need to take 528 damage total to cast it automatically. So here I have a fireball with life type support. As you can see, it cost us 18 life. So let's cast it. Need to take 528 life. Okay, here it took me 528 life and nothing happened. Ball lightning didn't cast. Why? Because we need to take this damage in a short period of time. And how we do that? Here I have a forbidden rite, takes 40% of our maximum life, and as you can see, when I cast it, triggered the ball lightning. And why did it trigger ball lightning? Because we took enough damage to proc it. As you can see, we took like 1000 life. Okay, now we have this ring hardbound loop. What it does, when minions die, you take 350 damage. So we summon 3 skeletons, duration is 20 seconds, and when they die, we take damage. Now let's see. We summon them and wait 20 seconds. And when they die, we should be triggering cast when damage taken, ball lightning. So let's see what happened. As you can see, they died and we triggered ball lightning. Okay, now this is a fun part. So when we summon skeletons and when they expire, we take damage and trigger our damaging spell, which here in this case is ball lightning. So now we want this summoned skeletons to cast automatically, so we don't have to cast them every time they expire. So how we do that? We socket them with cast when damage taken, but here their required level is 45 and cast when damage taken here requiring level is 38 or lower. So when we use lower level of cast when damage taken, they are not supported, it's not working, because cast when damage taken need to be a bigger level. So here we have requires level 46 or lower, and this is a level 45. We should cast automatically. Now we cannot cast them ourselves, we can only cast them when we take damage. So you can go in a map and take damage and they will cast it automatically. But here for demonstration I use forbidden rite. So let's see. When we take damage, we summon 3 skeletons and cast ball lightning. When skeletons expire, we will take damage and we will proc the ball lightning. As you can see, we proc ball lightning, we took damage, and when we take damage, we summon them again automatically. So this is how you start your loop. Now everything is running automatically, as you can see. When skeletons expire, we take damage, we summon skeleton again, and we trigger our damaging spells. Okay, because this forbidden rite takes our gem slot, so you don't have to, you don't have to go in a map and cast forbidden rite so you take damage. What we can do here is we have like this essence of insanity, and when we use it on Vapel, summon spectral spirits. So let's see, trigger level 20 spectral spirits when equipped. and when we equip it, there summon 3 spirits which last forever. So when we unequip this, they die. With Hardbound Loop, we take damage when they die, so if we take damage they die, and we summon skeletons and ball lightning. So we started our loop without Forbidden Rite, so we don't need Forbidden Rite to take damage, because we're taking damage when these spectral spirits die. So what we do usually, we put them in a different weapon inventory. So here, when we equip this weapon, they are summoned automatically, and when we press X to switch weapons, they die, and we trigger our cast when damage taken, summon skeletons and ball lightning. So we started our loop by just weapon swapping. As you can see, we have our loop running with just weapon swap. Okay, as you can see, our loop is running, and we need to wait 20 seconds for our minions to die to trigger this ball lightning. So, but this ball lightning theoretically can be cast 4 times in a second. So we need to lower duration of our summoned skeletons to match duration of cast when damage taken. And how we do that? We need a less duration. As you can see, 40% reduce minion duration. Now this is a tricky part. So we need to stack less duration on our summoned skeletons to match the cooldown recovery of cast when damage taken. So here we have 2 dust jewels. We have 3 of them. As you can see, when we combine, we get the magic number of 34. With anomalous minion speed, doesn't matter the level, all we need is 20 quality, not less or more, just 20. So when we socket them, put these summon skeletons with anomalous minion speed and cast when damage taken, and also we need this wheel here, window of opportunity, with less skill effect duration. Now when we swap weapons, we summon raging spirits. Now we swap weapon again, they die and trigger our loop. As you can see, we cast it 2 times and loop stopped. So we have a problem, and how to fix this problem, let's check it out in a Path of Building. Here in Path of Building we have our ball lightning socketed with cast when damage taken, and our summon skeleton socketed with anomalous minion speed that have quality 20 and cast when damage taken. So let's check in calculation. When we here select summon skeletons, as you can see, skill cooldown and skill duration doesn't match, and this is the problem, and this is why our loop is not running infinitely. So let's see how we can match those two together. Here in items I have those 3 dust jewels, as you can see, and if we increase our reduce skeleton duration from 34 to 35, let's see. Now we have 35 combined. In calculation, duration is 0. So we cannot change duration, we have to change cooldown recovery. So let's switch it back to 34. Now we have skill duration of 0.231, and this is 0.264. So we need to match this by changing the skill cooldown recovery. So here I craft 2 belts. One has 8 and one has 9. So let's see, with 8, when we go in calculation, nothing changed. So let's change to 9. As you can see, now they are matched. Why nothing changed? Because with 8 and change with 9, because this number is rounded up to the nearest server ticks. So server ticks in a specific period of times, and as you can see, we lower the cooldown by 8%, nothing happened. When we lower the 9%, it's rounded up to the server ticks, and now we have these two skill now we have like skill cooldown and skill duration match. So let's see what happened in the game. Here I have a belt with 11 increased cooldown recovery rate. Why 11 and not 9? Because this mod costs 1 exalt, and I don't want to waste currency just for demonstration. But from 9 to 26% cooldown recovery rate, nothing will happen. So nothing will happen. You can have like 25 or 11 or whatever, doesn't matter, nothing will change. After you reach 27, then it's the next server tick, and you have to lower again your skill effect duration on some skeletons, but I will show you that when we get to the how to improve your word loop. So let's see now. Here with 11 cooldown recovery rate, when we swap our weapons, we trigger spectral spirits. As you can see, we have 3 minions, and when we swap again, it should trigger our summon skeletons and our ball lightning. So let's see. And as you can see, we got them matched, and our skills are casting automatically 4 times in a second. So this is how you get your word loop running perfect. Great, now we have our word loop running automatically, and we can do our maps. So let's see one map, whatever. How does it work? All we have to do is just swap our weapons to trigger summon raging spirit, to trigger these spirits, and when we swap again, we have our loop running. So let's see. Okay, here in the map, we press X, summon spirits, press again, we cast our spells, and we die. So we need to fix this dying, how to survive damage we do ourselves. Okay, we got our loop section running. Now let's see why this build is called ward loop. So here I have some gear that have ward. Ward is a shield that you get. As you can see here, we have a ward as this yellow shield. So we need to stack as much ward as we can. So here I have this Skin of the Lords, which increase 100% global defense. As you can see, ward, we have 1200 wards. When we equip this, it's double our ward, so ward is counted as defense. And why I have a staff here? Because here I have these staff nodes that give us critical chance and whatever, but here we have a mastery that 30% increase our defense while wielding a staff. So we take staff and we also increase our ward. So now, when we got ward, we socket our ball lightning, damaging, and our skeletons. And we should be able to survive damage because we have ward. So let's see, swap weapons, summon spirit, swap again. As you can see, we survived one hit. Why? Because war ends when you take damage. So we need this all resolve flask. What does it do? War does not break during effect. So Ward is a shield which shield us for this amount, and when we take damage it loses all ward until it reaches again. So with this flask we have less ward, but it doesn't break. Okay, when we have our flask up and when we start our loop, we don't take damage as long as this flask lasts. As you can see, when flask ends, we instantly die. So we need to have this flask uptime 100%. So what does it mean? We need it to recharge itself automatically. And how do we do that? We have this brutal restraint jewel, which transforms one node into the traitor. As you can see, traitor give us 4 flask chargers per empty flask slot every 5 seconds. So let's see. When I press this flask, it should be charged until full. As you can see, it's charged automatically to the full, and when it's reused when flask effect ends. As you can see, we have it one time charged and the second time didn't charge. So I'll show you how you can fix this in a Path of Building. Here in the Path of Building I imported my character. As you can see here in calculation, summon skeleton, we have this skill cooldown recovery and skill duration matched. Now we need to fix the problem with flask. So as you can see down there, we have flask uptime 100% average and 65% minimum. So what we do here, and we take all of these flask nodes here, flask nodes here, and let's see if there is any flask nodes. So we have like reduced flask charge use here, duration, but here flask applied to your head, that's supposed to increase effect, and we do not. Here is effect duration, flask charges, but we don't want flask effect, we only want flask effect duration. So what will happen here, as you can see, with flask effect we have 1000 ward active while flask is active, and when we have flask effect it's lower our ward. Why? Because this flask effect is less ward, and we don't want flask effect, only flask effect duration. Here I took these 3 nodes and let's see. Now we have 69, so we need medium cluster joules for this to be at least 90% minimum. So let's see with the cluster joules. Here I got this medium, it's nothing special, but it will do job. And let's see in a Path of Building with this joule on a flask I have 90% minimum. So basically when I use this flask, I have 10% chance to die, let's say. Here we survived. Let's see again. We survived. So we have 10% chance to die. If you're doing one longer boss fights or Sanctum, you want this minimum flask uptime to be 100%. So you need to invest more into this cluster with flask effect duration, so you have 100% uptime on your flask. Okay, now we have everything set up. We have our ward, our flask running infinitely, and we have our loop perfectly synchronized. As you can see, we don't take damage, our loop is running, and here where I have a ball lightning, you can socket any support jams for it or whatever. You can make your own build as you wish. But let's see in a map how is performing. So swap weapons, and here we don't do damage because it's skill level 1. And something happened here, as you can see. Our loop stopped. As you can see, it's running and stopped, running and stopped. And why is that happening? Well, let's see. Okay, here is the final part, why our loop stopped in map and don't stop here in a hideout. And the reason is because enemies hit our skeletons and they kill them and mess up with our timings. So we need our skeletons to be immortal. And how we do that? With this medium cluster that has Blast Rebirth. So what does this Blast Rebirth do? As you can see, minion created recently cannot be damaged. So enemies cannot kill our minions and cannot mess up our loop. So let's see now in a map. So I don't know, let's take this slower projectile and cold damage, just to get some damage to kill minions. So let's see now when we summon our minions, they cannot be killed by enemies and they cannot mess up our loop. So we're gonna go in a map. Use flask, don't forget, because if you don't use flask you will die by doing yourself a damage. So use flask, weapon swap. As you can see, we take damage from minions, we cast our spells automatically, and they don't mess up our loop because our minions cannot be damaged by enemies. They don't die from enemies and they don't mess up our loop. So thank you guys for watching. I will in next video I will show you how you can improve your ward loop to get the maximum of it. As you can see, they don't do us damage because they don't break our ward. So this build can be really tanky. And yeah, as you can see, it's pretty nice. So thanks you guys for watching. I'll make a written document with everything I explained here in the video, because my English is not good and my microphone is not something fancy, so I'll have everything written up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, I will gladly help you. So thank you guys for watching, and yeah, have your word loops running smoothly.